Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So recently I hit 200 subscribers and thank you guys. And I know it sounds like a little, but it means 200 people want to watch what I'm doing, and that's amazing. So thank you guys. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to ganache a square cake and using white chocolate ganache, and how to get sharp edges with that, and how to like have rounded sides, because I kind of find I prefer my square cakes to have rounded sides because it looks nicer that way in my head. So like this video and let's get to it. So guys, for those of you asking, the recipe for white chocolate and dark chocolate ganache are different, but for this one I'm going to put the recipe in the comment section below so you can check out that video. And towards the end of this video I'm going to give you an extra tip on how to make your cake come out perfect and very straight every single time. So like this video. So guys, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some white chocolate on the board, and that's because I want the cake to stick to that board and not move. So when we finish frosting our cake, we won't have to worry about it moving. So right now we're going to fill and torch the cake, and usually I like to use buttercream. I don't like to use ganache. Even though I'm going to cover the entire cake in ganache, it's better when your client eats something that is creamy inside and it is kind of milky and nice outside. Okay guys, so I like to fill the inside with buttercream, and notice I'm not filling it to the edges because I like it to not spill out when I'm trying to ganache my cake, because I don't like that spillage. That spillage is going to give your ganache bulges at the end of the day, and you don't want there to be bulges. You want it to be smooth and nice. So guys, if you notice, I didn't put the cake in the middle of the board, and that's because I wanted there to be enough space in front of the cake so that I'll be able to write the inscription the client wants. So like there'll be lesser space behind and there will be more space in front. That way I have enough space to like do extra designs in front or write what the client wants me to write and stuff. So right now it is time to trim our cake, and trimming is one of the most important steps before ganaching a cake, and that's because you don't want there to be bulges anywhere. You don't want any part of the cake to be uneven. But before we properly trim, I'm going to like dowel the cake, because the reason I'm doweling the cake is because I don't want the layers to move and I want it to stand upright. So usually I use wooden dowels and I cut them in the height of the cake and dip them into the cake like two opposite sides, so it can stay put and not scatter. Like regardless of what you do, it won't move, except okay, not regardless, if you try to make it somersault, of course it will move, but you guys get me. Okay, so guys, right now I'm trimming the cake, and the point of trimming is to like make sure everything is leveled and straight. You want everything to be straight. You don't want there to be extra bulges or like any part of the cake sticking out before you ganache your cake. You need it to have a smooth, even layer, like even surface before you can ganache. Do you guys understand me? Okay, I think you do. So once you're done, and notice I'm not pressing the top of the cake too much, because if you press too hard, you're going to make your buttercream start to spill out from the sides, and that's not what you want. So after this, I like to chill it for a little while, maybe like 30 minutes before I try to ganache the cake. Okay, so at this point we're trying to ganache our cake, and I like to ganache in steps. So the first step is to like kind of catch the crumbs in the first layer of ganache, and that's what I'm doing right now. There will be a lot of crumbs in this layer, but that's good because you want the crumbs to stay put and not move around. So right now I'm trying to ganache the first step and keep all the crumbs inside. And notice I started from the top, and then I'm going to spread the ganache to the sides and then rub the excess ganache on the sides of the cake Do you understand? Some other people use different styles of ganaching, but I find like this is what works best for me. Start from the top and then try to spread at intervals, like spread it in beats. Don't spread it all at once. That way you'll be able to control where the ganache goes and like which part you want it to go, so you can cover that part of the cake. Do you guys understand me? So after we're done with this layer, what I'm going to do is, it's important to catch the ganache by the sides of the cake on the board and then scrape it upwards towards the cake. It kind of helps you fill up the spaces down. I don't know if you understand. Look at what I'm doing. Like, it helps you fill up those like down spaces that are not well covered. Okay, so we're going to do another layer, and then I told you guys I was going to give you a tip that helps you get your cake perfect and like have the perfect sides every time. So this is it, guys. So the downside to this method is that it is easy and it is like easier for you to control where your ganache falls. But the downside is that like the top part of the cake kind of like gets fatter than the lower sides, because ganache gets there too often. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if you continue doing this, you realize that, have you kind of seen those cakes that like they are tall, but towards the up part of the cake they look fatter on top than beneath? Yeah, it means like the person started from the top, and that way like cream or ganache, whatever medium you're using, kind of accumulates on top by the sides, and then the top is fatter while the down is slimmer. So I'm going to show you guys how to kind of avoid that, so that your cake can be very symmetric, like the top and the bottom will be the same fatness, if that makes sense. My English is weird, but I hope that makes sense to you guys. So guys, when you're ganaching a cake, make sure at intervals you melt your ganache. You don't want to melt it to be like water, you know. You just want to melt it to be like to be liquidy enough to be able to work with. I don't know if you get, because the ganache gets stiff. That's the reason why like your cake gets sharp edges, because the stiffness gives it sharp edges, unlike buttercream. But the downside is when you're working with this, it gets stiff on you while you're working. So it's important that maybe at intervals you melt it maybe for like 15-30 seconds, just for it to be liquidy enough for you to be able to work with it well. So right now I want you guys to notice that like if you look at it very well, the top of the cake, like towards the top of the cake, is kind of fatter than the down. It might not be very noticeable, but like what makes your cake perfect is trying to make it perfect. I don't know if you get, it's something you can ignore definitely if that doesn't bother you, but in my case like it bothers me. Like I need it to be perfect, literally. So what I like to do is, in this case, like the top is kind of fatter than the down, so I like to take some ganache and just rub from the down. I'm not starting from the top this time, just rub all around it and then smoothing it once again. You can go like, you can do this step like twice or maybe 3 times until you get the result you want. Do you get? That way it kind of evens out the symmetry of the cake. So guys, after this step, once everything is smooth and like you've done all you're supposed to do, we're going to leave it to get chilled for like for maybe 30 minutes. It doesn't have to take that long. You can put it in the fridge. That kind of fastens it up. Maybe 5 minutes or 10, or if you leave it out of the fridge, can maybe be around 30 minutes. But after that, you're going to take a sharp knife, and you're going to cut off the edges. And if you guys notice what I did, I took a regular knife and cut off the edges of the ganache cake, the already ganached cake. That way like it's going to form the sharp edges that you want. But the problem now here is that I used a regular knife, so you can see the crumbs of the ganache on top, and that is not what you want. You want it to be nice and very sharp. So usually the best thing for you to do is to use a hot knife. So what I usually do at this stage is to boil some water and pour it in a bowl, and then dip my knife into it, and then when you bring it out after like 5 seconds, it's going to be hot, and then that way you can use it to cut the edge of your ganache, and that way it will be smooth and sharp. It won't have crumbs like this. So I'm going to show you guys right now. I already kept my knife in some hot water, so look at what I'm doing. I'm using that sharp knife to cut off the extra on top of it, so it's going to be smooth. It's not going to be rough like the first one I did without a hot knife. I used a knife like that, but it wasn't hot. So see, so now we're going to cut off all the excess, and we're going to smoothen the edge with our hot knife, and then we're going to like get rid of all this extra scrapes of white chocolates so that our cake can be neat. And you have to get rid of everything, because if you cover your cake like that, you're going to see those specks on top of it in your fondant. So now we are done, and I think it looks just perfect. So at this stage, all you have to do is roll out your fondant and then cover your cake, and you have a perfect cake every time. Thank you guys for watching.